How to identify major key signatures. What is a key signature? A key signature is found at the beginning of a staff in between the clef and the time signature. The key signature is an easier way of writing in accidentals. For example, instead of marking that every B in the music is flat, like in the top picture, you can put B flat in the key signature, like in the bottom picture. This makes the music a lot easier to read. What does a key signature tell us? Every piece of music is written based on a scale. The key signature tells us which scale the music is based on. For example, this piece of music has B flat in the key signature. So you know that the F scale, because it has B flat, is what the music is based on. This will make a lot more sense later. The basics. The order of flats is B, E, A, D, G, C, F. To remember this, we remember it spells out the word bead and then greatest common factor. B, E, A, D, G, C, F. The order of sharps is just the opposite of the order of flats. The order of sharps is F, C, G, D, A, E, B. What does this mean? If you have one flat in the key signature, it is always B, because B is the first in the order. If you have two flats, they are always B and E. Three flats are always B, E, and A, and it goes on from there. It's the same with the sharps. One sharp is always F, four sharps is always F, C, G, and D. Naming the key. If the key has sharps, we just put the letter. If the key has flats, we have to put the flat in the name. For example, the key of A has sharps, but the key of A flat has flats. There are two exceptions to this rule. The key of C has no sharps and no flats. The key of F has a flat in the key signature, but not in its name. Again, the two exceptions are the key of C has no sharps or flats, and the key of F has flat in the key signature, but not in its name. Identifying the number of sharps. Take the order of sharps, F, C, G, D, A, E, B. Now we're going to give each letter a number. F is the exception, so it gets an X. C gets 0 because there are no sharps or flats. G gets a 1, D gets a 2, A gets a 3, E gets a 4, and B gets a 5. The number corresponds with the number of sharps in the key. Remember, F is the only key that has flat in the key signature but not in its name. That is why it's the exception. The rule of 7. The number of sharps plus the number of flats always equals 7. For example, A has 3 sharps. A flat has 4 flats. 3 plus 4 equals 7. G has 1 sharp. G flat has 6 flats. 1 plus 6 equals 7. Identifying the number of flats. We know how many sharps are in each key, because F is the exception, C has 0, G has 1, D has 2, A has 3, E has 4, and B has 5. We know the number of sharps plus the number of flats equals 7. So if we take 7 and subtract the number of sharps, which we know how to find, we can get the number of flats. For example, A has 3 sharps. So if we take 7 minus 3, we get 4. A flat has 4 flats. Practice. How many sharps does the key of D major have? Two sharps. F is the exception, C has 0, G has 1, and D has 2. D major has 2 sharps. How many flats does the key of E flat major have? Remember, we first have to find the number of sharps the key of E major has, and then use the rule of 7 to find how many flats the key of E flat major has. Three flats. F, C, G, D, A, E. E has 4. So E has 4 sharps. 7 minus 4 equals 3, which means that E flat major has 3 flats. How many sharps does the key of F major have? Trick question. F major doesn't have any sharps. It has 1 flats. Remember, it's the exception. Now you know how to identify major key signatures.